Hmm. How are you?
I'm good.
It's been a while since we did this.
It's been a long time.
Dang, what was it? 4, 5 years?
At least.
Yeah. We was not as comfortable as we are now. And that's, I believe that on top of us being so technical with everything, thinking we had to be that way, especially me. I blame myself for it more. It didn't last as long, where now we're just chilling. And that's how I decided to come back with this is, chill vibes, not too much thinking about it, just talking about different subjects, which this subject I've been waiting to talk about because I don't really share it. I don't share it a lot.
Now, what is that subject?
I did share it to just recently, which made me want to do it now to the public. I was sharing it I went for a walk, and this older lady, I forgot how we started talking. She started saying something to me, and I started talking back, and then it led into how me and you met. Because she was surprised at my age, how, what? Why are you looking like that?
So you guys can't see me because I'm behind camera.
Right, you're the producer.
I producer Micayla here at your service.
Yes, so I've been around for. I thought people would know by now, so I apologize.
No, we're coming back.
I'm
You
talking.
haven't done this in years.
I'm talking to my wife. My name is IronAngel. Real name's Duran.
I think that's it.
Okay, I was about to say, should I break down everything I do? But okay, that's enough. But yes, I'm here with my beautiful, lovely wife, Micayla Robertson.
Hey guys.
Iron Wifey, greatest producer ever, greatest podcast producer ever.
And you want to tell them the story about how we met without me being on camera?
Yeah, because you share it a lot to people.
I do.
Because I don't talk to a lot of people, I don't share. It's not like I was ashamed or anything. As a matter of fact, I talked to that lady and I realized how thrilled I was sharing it because I don't really talk about it.
Okay.
And it made me realize something talking to her that, dang, I really don't share, not just that, but anything about myself. Life had its way of helping me, I guess not helping me, but molding me into a person that was very quiet about my personal life. But now, being more comfortable, I'm at a stage where I like to share good and bad of my life. But this one is one of the best moments ever in my life. It was the first day I met you. It's not even the day I married you. It was the first day I met you. And look at you acting all shy. But it's all good. This is all good because, yes, that lady, and it was so funny how blessed she was. She was like 77, I think she said her age was. And she was like, I've never heard of a love. All my years, I'm double your age and, more than double your age. And I've never heard of a story like that. And, she was like, man, that brought hope because it seems like in this generation, people like dating scene and all that. Like she was going through all that. And I was like, well, we was definitely sent by God for each other because our story is very interesting.
It's a movie.
It literally is. It could be a movie. It's not even like tooting our own horn. It's just, when I share the story, you'll see how it can be a movie. Nicholas Sparks edition without somebody dying. Nicholas Sparks. That's one thing. I love this movie. Hated how you feel like he had to have somebody die. Anyway, but yeah, I wanted to share because we're in 11 years of marriage. 11 years. It does not feel like 11 years. We got married young. I'm 34, going on 35. She's 31. And yeah, I was like, dang. 11 years.
20,
yeah, and I was 23.
Yeah, I remember because they were like, "Oh, you got a toast on your wedding," and I was like,
"She couldn't drink
to drink yet."
I was like, "Oh, that's fine. I'll toast for you."
Right. I appreciate you. I'm like, definitely not legally old enough to do that.
Mhm. But yeah. So, yeah. You mind if I share it?
Go for it. This is your podcast.
Because now we see
do what you
from
want.
my point of view.
Right.
Yeah. Well. I met my wife here looking at her. She was my elementary school crush. I know people always say my high school crush. She was my elementary school crush. My parents were teachers at the school she was at. And we was homeschooled, my brother and I. Shout out to him. But we both was homeschooled. So we went anywhere my parents went. They taught us. So when they was teachers, they took us to the school that Micayla's in. Mind you, I didn't meet Micayla yet. But every classroom they was in, because my mom was the teacher, my dad was the substitute teacher. And the class we was in, where my mom was at, she had a little corner for my brother and I. And that's where we'll do our schoolwork while she's teaching the class. And shout out to that school, Adler Elementary. I always have love for them.
It's actually closed.
Yeah, I know. But I'm talking about just those old times. And everybody that was there, Miss Johnson, Miss Bias, Miss Raghavan, even the students, the basketball team. It was a lot of God's favor in there. And, having us homeschool kids being able to still get taught by our parents while they teaching y'all, because you obviously public school, it was nice. I just wanted to give a shout out to that. But my brother and I being in our little corner doing schoolwork, I never forget the first day. First, I was nervous because I'm always nervous around, well, not anymore, but back then as a kid and leading up, always nervous around new people. And it was all these, kids around. And my brother and I have been homeschooled, so it was just been me and him for the longest time. And never forget, it was the prettiest smile ever. And yeah, bro, my brother and I was doing something. All these kids coming in. It's funny because I still remember the names. Ryan came in with his cornrows, and just a few other ones. Gary and all that other stuff with his big old shirt. And I remember 2 girls came in, and they was laughing coming in. First, it was her close friend Siobhan. Shout out to Siobhan if she hears this.
Hey, girl.
And then she was talking to someone behind her, and she walked up in front, and then this other girl comes in, and it's my wife, Micayla. My wife now, Micayla. And I tell y'all, I still have an image to this day. She walked in with them cute glasses and barrettes, and she had the biggest smile ever. I don't know what y'all was talking about. That's not even the point for me. But that smile. I was doing my schoolwork, and I looked up. Mind you all, another thing, I'm in 5th grade, she's in 3rd grade. So I look up, though, and she had this smile. And the coolest part, I don't even know if you remember this, you looked at my brother and I because you was like,
who are they?
Who are these kids?
Exactly.
These 2 boys just sitting there, and everybody in the classroom was like, anybody know who these guys are?
Exactly.
But me, I overthought it. I thought she was looking at me like, she noticed me, And I used to be a big overthinker. I'll be saying that stuff, and she'll be like, I was just trying to figure out who these 2. I wasn't even thinking like, oh, he's cute, Because to be real, she wasn't thinking of me like that. So yeah, that was the first time I've ever seen her, and I never forget feeling so warm. Cause I sweat easily, and it's funny because even like now, like it's better, but I still sweat easy now to this day. But back then, doing nothing but schoolwork in the winter in Detroit, and that's the thing. Detroit, anybody from Detroit, y'all know it. When it's cold,
it's cold.
Oh, it's cold, but I'm sweating. And it was just when no moment she walked in, and I was head over heels then of just how pretty she was. I didn't even know obviously who she was, but she was just pretty. And I never forget, I don't think I ever told you this, I was waiting for Mom to do the attendance so I could know what your name was.
Oh.
So I was sitting there, and she'll go down the list and this and that, and I was like, you still did say here, or whatever y'all said, present, whatever it was.
Present.
And so I'm just waiting. Then I hear, Micayla, present. And I love that. Ever since then, Micayla was the best name in the world.
Oh my god!
It was funny. I always be like, "Oh, if anybody's name is Micayla, you gonna succeed in everything in life." I have that to this day. Oh, your name's Micayla. Oh, you gonna succeed in everything.
Oh my god!
Why do you say that? Just thank the Lord for my wife. Ever since I saw her, I just knew that name was blessed. Anyway, if your name is Micayla, doesn't matter how hard your life is, it's gonna get better. Trust me, the Lord has blessed that name. So that name is blessed for everybody. But so if you think about naming your girl something like, hey, I have I'm about to have a baby, what should I name her? Just name her Micayla. I'm just Remember that. Just name her Micayla. Anyway. So yeah, this some time goes by. 'Cause my parents was teachers for a minute there. Like I said, it was a great time there. But I always remember another iconic moment that I still tell you to this day what it is, and I call it the hallway.
Yeah.
And it was the most nerve-wracking, but also heartfelt moment that I had. And the funny thing is, again, it was me just overthinking because it was just a hallway walk by. But I'm walking this school hallway, and Adler had this long hallway. I'll never forget because it was the entrance, the art class, and the music class. Before
And the
you
special
get,
ed class.
yeah, they had a special ed class before you get to the actual classrooms. And it was a lot. And I'm walking by myself. I had to get something from the principal's office from my parents. And so I went to get it for them. And lo and behold, when I'm about to turn this corner to the classroom, you come the other way. Had no idea you was the principal's big helper. So you was heading to the principal's office while I'm leaving it. And we almost bumped into each other. And I was a tall dude back then. Well, I'm still there. But
he was tall, y'all. Like
for a fifth grade, I was pretty tall.
Grader, he was
yeah, I'm 6'3" now. But
back then.
yeah, so I walked past, and you're like, and I say this, and I don't care. I don't care if it sounds corny. In my mind, I'm like, she spoke to me. Because you knew my name, and I was like, you know my name?
Hi?
You said, hi, Duran.
Mm.
My eyes was up. I'm like, but I had to play it cool. I'm like, hi, Micayla. He was like, how are you? I'm like, I'm good. How are you? I'm good. I was like, oh, so you're not going to? Because I was almost a little like, what's the word? Disappointed because I thought you was gonna go to class today. I thought you was going somewhere else. I didn't know you was working for the principal at the time. And you was like, no, I'll be back. I have to go help the principal. Oh, and I was like, okay, so I'll see you back in class. And he was like, okay, I'll see you back in class. And y'all, I never forget, we both turned away, and as we're turning away to go our separate ways, I always have this in my head. She gave this sigh, smile, and eye look as she was walking away. Now she was just being nice, kind. Me, I'm thinking she's trying to take my heart. That's what I was thinking. It's like, and the funny thing is, I still think it to this day. She has this side eye with this smile, and now, obviously, that's taking my heart, obviously. But, yeah, that moment, though, and I was walking, legs shaking, all that stuff, all the way to the classroom. And I was just like, Micayla digs me. Again, overthinking. Because, again, Micayla was not thinking anything of that. Micayla's a very nice person, y'all. My wife's very nice person. And people can get the wrong message for her just being real nice. I was one of them. But I don't regret having those feelings because 11 years in now. But, yeah, so that was two of my greatest moments with her in elementary school. Now, I will say this. There was some time that went by, and she went to 5th grade, and I was in 7th or something like that, 8th, something like that. No, whatever. And by this time, we became friends with the whole family, and it was cool. My parents was friends with her parents, and it became a friendship thing. Nothing ever happened, to be real, but it was just cool to be friends with them. I had this one moment, and I always said it got away from me. I had a moment, y'all, where I could have kissed Micayla. She would have been and to think about it, she would have been my first kiss ever. And I was like, I missed it big time. So, and I don't care, I share. I don't even know if your mom knows this situation. So, I don't think she knows because it was in her house, in your living room couch, but she was in the kitchen or something. So, Micayla, I didn't know was very ticklish.
Very.
And to this day, she still is. So much to where I don't even do it because you'll get mad. So, but back then, the kids, you mess around, and she got really ticklish. And me and her was playing around, and a situation happened where she was so ticklish, she fell backwards on the couch, and I was on top. Not that way, not the way where, sexually. I just was above her. She was on the underneath. Mama Dandridge, I'm just saying, respectfully, because I know you're going to watch this. And Mama Cummings, just saying, because they're going to be called like, wait, in my house, you know. But so here's the thing: she was just laying there, and she smiled at me, and she gave me the greatest smile ever. And personally, I thought I could have been overthinking. Maybe I did.
You were overthinking.
I thought she was like, "Are you gonna kiss me?" Because then I took her glasses off, and she let me do it. And she didn't look at me like, "What are you doing? Why did?" She gave me, and then I love how my wife looks with her glasses. I love even more how she looks without them. She has this stare that only comes out when she has no glasses on. It is funny because other people say the same thing. You remember that I told you that a lot of guys always think you're flirting with them because you have no glasses on.
But
and you
reality,
be like, I'm not flirting. You like, I can't see. So I'm looking. But the way she's trying to look, it actually looks like she's being seductive, and she's not. And she's just like,
I can't see.
Let me put my glasses back on before these guys get the wrong idea. One guy literally thought, y'all, that he came up to me not knowing that was my wife, saying, "Oh, she wants me." I was like, "Sorry, what you say?" He was like, "That file went over there, the way she looked at me," and I looked, and I was like, "Oh, she'll have her glasses on," but I didn't tell him. He was like, "She wants me." I was like, "Oh," and I played with them. It was at a mall because she was shopping at for stuff, and I'm just waiting for it. I was like, "I bet you I could get her." By the way, I'm talking about now as an adult. He was like, "Man, please. All right, if you do it, I bet you I'll get it." I said, "All right, you ain't gonna have that chance." I went up to her and kissed her, and then we walked off, and her arms were over, and her arms over me, and my arms over her, and I winked at the guy. He laughed. He was like, "Oh, okay." But then I was messing with him. I showed him my wedding ring. He was like, "Oh, you fooled me." But the fact of the matter is, he looked at how she looked at him, and all she did was took her glass. She was cleaning her glasses, and she looked up, and he just happened to stand right there. And he thought, "Oh, she wants me." So he went and overthought. But Micayla has you doing that. She's that fine. She has you be rethinking your life. She be having you thinking, "Oh, a beautiful woman does like me."
I can't see you.
So yeah, when I was a kid though, that's what I thought. But again, she didn't, because I wasn't like on top of her, like my body was on her. It wasn't like that. I was just, like I said, I'm a tall guy, so I guess it's hover. I was put it that way. That's the best. Because I wasn't like I always remember that my body wasn't on her. So anyway, so yeah, I'm hovering, and so then I see her look at me, and I look at her, and I'm like, I've never kissed someone before, but I've seen this in a movie. That's what I thought. I was like, in a movie, this is where you go down and give a kiss. And I was going down, and I was halfway there, and my parents walked in the house because I heard the door open, and I flicked up and walked away. And I always say, that's the day it got away from me. She never pushed me back, nothing. She was standing there, and I was like, I could have kissed her, and it would have,
And I do not remember this moment at all.
So, and that's the fun. I'm like, dang, she don't remember this? But we were kids, but still. But, yeah, anyway. So, now, let's fast forward, shall we?
What, 12 years?
12.
Maybe 11. 12 years marriage. So fast forward 11 years.
Yeah. So now, some time goes by. Well, before that, my family and I moved out of Detroit. We moved out of Detroit. We had an opportunity in Ohio. You know, my family and I, we moved a lot, but we had this nice opportunity in Ohio. Great area, Cincinnati. So we lost contact for... 11 years.
11 years, yeah.
And I can just fast forward to that time.
Honestly, it's probably like 10 years, realistically.
10?
10, because when we did gain contact, it was through Facebook.
Yeah, I was about to get there. I was like, and it was by accident, because my brother and I, 11, so I was 19, 18 at the time. And my brother used to come stay with me for a while, because he liked staying at my place. And like on Fridays and stuff like that, we had the whole weekend. And where I lived at, we had a community center in an apartment. And the community center had these computers. I never forget it. And my brother and I would be there for hours because nobody would be in there. And we'll just use the internet there. So, because the community center was so nice and we just chilled in there. And I never forget, my brother was like, yo. I was like, what? Guess who's contacting me? I was like, I wouldn't. He was like, Micayla. Wait, But he was like, I ain't saying nothing. And I was like, really? You don't want to say nothing? He was like, no, because I always I had flashbacks of those good times. And you know what's funny? When I was told, or when I realized who it was, all that was building up when I was a kid started coming back. I started smiling. I started being like, and my brother's like, look like you in La La Land. I was like, those are some great times. Like, we do them for 3 years before we moved away. And so I started, having butterflies in my stomach again. Then we talked to each other on the phone that same night. I can't remember if it was me or her that messaged each other about getting each other's phone numbers. That one I don't remember. Do you?
You asked for my number.
Okay.
You were like, oh, we should stay in touch. And I was like, all right, bet.
Okay.
And it's very possible I gave you my number because I was just giving everybody my number.
So
back then.
basically, though, we did talk to each other on the phone that same night. I remember it was nighttime. It was you and Siobhan on the phone, which is hilarious because y'all was the first two I saw when we first met, and y'all was still the first two that after 10 years later, the first two. Mind you, Siobhan is her friend, not a sister or nothing like that, but they acted like they was relatives. Again, shout out to you, Siobhan. So we're talking. I can't remember how long we was talking, and I never forget. I was so bummed. I was bummed out because I still had a crush on Micayla. I still did. And when we got back in contact, it was like all those feelings just hyped up even more. Now, I'm older and all that stuff. And so I'm like, my game at talking to girls was trash.
Trash.
I mean, you didn't have to confirm it. I'm already on the humble road here. Let myself know that I didn't have any game back then. Goodness gracious, but okay.
I just want to let
it was that
know.
bad.
It was
my
trash.
own brother says it to this day. He used to say, he was like, "You're different now, but back then, you did not know how to talk to a man." I didn't. So even then, I was nervous as heck. Didn't know what to say, fumbling my words and all that stuff. And I wanted to tell her right then. I always said, "Oh, by the way, she never knew I had a crush on her, ever." And I wanted to tell her, and I never did. And what made it worse was when I thought about doing it, she was talking about some other dude that she was into. Now, again, she didn't know that I was into her. She was talking about some other dude that she was into, so I didn't even want to try. Because I'm like, fine. So she was like asking for some type of advice. And I'm giving advice on another dude while I'm sitting there liking her. So I'm already in a bad situation. A lot of us nice guys are in those situations. Y'all know who I'm talking to. A lot of y'all probably like, I was in those same situations. And ladies, you know what? Y'all in the same situations I am too. Because as far as the situations, y'all like, yeah, I was always the middle girl for my friend, even though I like this guy. So y'all know what I'm saying. That is you're a nice person. You're going to help. But in the same breath, you're like, well, I guess this is not meant to be. So we talked then, and we don't talk for a while now after that. Some more years go by, and when we got back in contact that time, it's not like we stayed in contact. We was talking every day and all that stuff. No, it was like that night. Then after that, we was like Facebook friends when Facebook was a thing. Well, it still is a thing.
It's still a thing.
It's just not as big as it used to be.
It was like
it just launched then. So it was, it was really big then. So yeah, we stayed in contact with social media, but that was about it. Now, at this time, my brother moved out to get his own place. I moved to North Carolina. Some things happened, which I'll share in another story. But yeah, moved to North Carolina by myself in the land of the wilderness. Not technically, but I'm talking about wilderness. I didn't know where I was. This is the first time I ever moved out, and it was in a different state. But it was great. It's a great story in there. Shout out to Kyle. Shout out to everybody else. I'll talk about that story and why I got there for another day. So, as I'm in North Carolina, I've been there for about 2 to 3 years at this time. As y'all can tell, I'm speeding through different years. Now, after my situation in North Carolina, there was another situation that happened to me where I could have lived abroad. Italy. I was going to be moving to Italy. That was going to be a big deal. because I wasn't going to share to any of my family or friends that I was moving to Italy. I was going to pack up my stuff, take a flight. There was this house that I was able to afford. It was beautiful. It was in the hills of Italy, looking at the water. It was beautiful. But for those who are like, why didn't you want to tell your family? Like I said, that's another story for another day. I will share that. The reason I'm sharing that little piece now is because before something in my heart told me, before you do that, open your book. I had this book that I had like a list of things to do before I make a move like that. Because in my heart, I always knew there was going to be a moment where I just disappear and just do something without nobody knowing. But I said, if I do that, at least have finished. I had a few things on my checklist to do to confirm that this is the right thing to do. So it was random things. It was do this, call this, say this, do this, go here, travel here, all this other stuff. There was only one person on my on my book list that I wrote to call. It was Micayla. And it was the craziest thing. There was no person, no family member, no other woman, no nothing. It just said, and it was 2 words, call Micayla. And the only reason it was just 2 words was because I knew what that meant. Because for y'all, I mean, obviously y'all don't know this, but even though we lost contact for a while, I always, and I've had other girlfriends, stuff like that in those years, but I always had a spot in my heart for Micayla. Always. Sometimes it wasn't even for, I liked her and all that stuff, because I didn't know her. Like, it's been years. Like I said, it was 10 years, so I didn't know who she was there. But it was always something, like, I always hope that she was okay. When we found each other on social media, I was always praying for her, that wherever her journey's at, that she's safe and sound and all that. So a while ago, I wrote, call Micayla, because I told myself, one of these days, I'm going to ask her out. I'm going to have the heart to ask her out. You know. And that was the perfect day, because I did everything on my checklist, and the last day, and I'm a completer. Like, I got to complete my assignments. Only one who stops me from completing them is the Lord. So I was like, call Micayla. I tell y'all, all that confidence I had just dropped. Because I was doing everything. I was like, I'm doing this. I did everything on the checklist, and it still confirmed that, yes, I need to go to Italy. Then it said, call Kay, and my heart was like, I can't call Kay. I was hyperventilating. I'm in my room like, they was like, you can't go to Italy until you call Micayla. You have to know, is this woman meant to be with you or not? Just ask her on a date. If she says, no, I'm not interested, get your ticket, go to Italy, start a new life. Again, I'll explain a new life, a different conversation. So I did, and I always remember I still had her number from that time on a Facebook situation. Mind you, we did not talk ever since that. That had to be 3, 4, 5 years later. Mm-hmm. So it was years. So even from that moment in Facebook to then, our lives changed drastically. She don't know me, I don't know her, because I don't care if you know somebody from the past. If years go by, I mean, you don't know the person. You might see some characteristics, as I say, but overall, you don't know the person. So we didn't know each other. So it's late at night. I was like, I'll call her in the morning. It was like, no, and I really believe it was the Lord. The Lord was like, no, call her now. She's up. And I'm like, for 3, 4, 5 years, I'll be a weirdo calling her. It was like, call her now. So I pick up my phone, I'm looking through my contacts, and I see it's Micayla. And I was hoping I didn't save the contacts, because I have a habit of not saving them. Numbers, I'm terrible with cell phones. And it says, nope, it said right there, Micayla. And the funniest thing was, I had her name in big, bold letters. I was like, why did I write it? And I remember because I never wanted to miss it in case you did call.
Oh, my God.
I'll see Micayla on there. So I call. And it's ringing and ringing. And it rings the 3rd time. Then on the 4th ring, it's a pickup. And when I heard the phone pick up, before she even says hello, it was like I had to take a breath. I was like, she actually picked up the phone. I was nervous as heck. And all I hear is, hello? Hi, Micayla. And I never forget, you was like, hi, Duran. how are you? And I'm like, I'm good. Now, here's another blessing in it that I didn't realize until like near when I was about to call her. It was her birthday that night.
Mm-hmm.
That was not in the plan. It's funny how this all happened on her birthday. And that's why I said the Lord knows what he's doing. You just have to ask God to help you. Because I forgot it was her birthday. I didn't know. I forgot all that stuff. So the moment the Lord's telling me to call her is the moment it's her birthday as well. So she's out with her friends or doing something with her friends, having fun on her birthday. So her friends are all right there too while she's on the phone. And she's like, you good? I was like, I'm good. And so I used it as a way to get into the conversation. I was like, happy birthday. Oh, well, thank you. This, and that. Me, I didn't know what to say. I'm like, okay, I got in. Because like I said, Micayla's a very nice person. She's going to talk to you. Even if she thinks the situation's a little weird. Because later, she told me later that it was a little weird. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like I said, Kayla's a nice person. So she's going to, let's see why he's calling. Maybe, she told me later, she was like, I was like, something wrong? Did something happen? Like, why are you calling me now? Right. So I was like, maybe he needs someone to talk to or something, Anyway, so I'm nervous as heck. So I'm talking fast and all this stuff. And so I said, okay, she told me she was with her friends. So I was too nervous to say what I wanted to say right then and there. So I asked, I was like, can you call me later?
I thought that was so weird.
And you was like, sure. I was like, there's something I have to ask you. And you was like, okay. I was like, yeah, there's something I really have to ask you. And I really, I got to know something. She was like, oh, all right, yeah. When I'm done with this stuff, I'll call you. And I was like, all right, love you. I'll talk to you soon. Now, I said that so fast, and it just naturally came out where when I hung up the phone, I was like, what did I just say? Mm-hmm. I was like, love you. I see you. Wait a minute. I don't say that to anybody unless it's... Wait, hold on.
It was so weird, y'all.
And then when I hung up the phone, she tells me later down the line, she was like, I even sat there like, did Durant just say love you? So then I'm nervous. I've never forgot. I hang up the phone and I lean back on the bed like, Durant, you still don't know how to talk to women, you idiot. And so, yeah, she calls me later and she was like, hi, so yeah, my friends are gone and this and that. So you something you wanted to ask me? And y'all, before she called me, I was practicing. You know how you be in the mirror, you just be, so Micayla, I was wondering if you want to go. No, that's not how you say it. Okay. So Kayla, you fine. You want to go out? No, that is so corny. All right. So Kayla, I would love if you would give me the honor of taking you out to dinner. That is too robotic. Okay. Dang it. How the heck should I ask this question? Then you call. I'm like, so I don't have no practice. I'm like, all right. And some toy said, just say it. So I was like, Kayla, look, I always liked you. And I mentioned the hallway. I mentioned when she first came to class, when I first saw her in class. I mentioned the time on the couch and all this stuff. Mind you, Kayla's like, really? Oh.
Literally.
So I'm like, this is a failure. Because that wasn't like she was, it was like, seriously?
All this
time? And she's like, why did you never say anything? I was like,
exactly.
In my mind, I because I'm a freaking loser. I was like, that's why losers don't. It's so nervous. I was just nervous as heck. I was like, and I'm sharing all this stuff. And I was like, look, I'm in a time of my life where, and I didn't want to tell her because I didn't want it to sound like a pity thing to where she just like, oh, well, I feel sorry for him. No, I needed her to give me a flat answer. So I didn't want to tell her what I was about to do. So all I said was, I'm in a point in my life where I'm not hiding from things, and I don't want to hide no more of asking you out. I always had a crush on you. I always liked you. And, so can I take you to dinner? I know if by this time I was living in North Carolina, she was in Michigan State. So we're 12 hours away. Mm-hmm. So she's already like, so first she's in shock. She's like,
this guy just professed his love for me.
Right.
And I haven't talked to him in 12 years. And now he wants to take me on a date. Did you tell them wait, hold on. Did you tell them when you wanted to take me on a date?
Oh, no. So I knew she was in school and stuff. So I said, on your summer break. Mind you, it's October. So that's
May.
7, 8
May.
months.
Yes. You were like,
So-
I would love to take you out on a date.
So I
in
didn't
May.
even think of that. Like I said, I was nervous. I just started letting stuff out. And I was like, hey, 7, 8 months from now, if you're not in a relationship by then, can I take you to dinner and see where it goes? Because I was willing to cancel the Italy trip if she would have said, and I said, okay, I won't go to Italy until 8 months from now. 8 months from now, and then it hit me. It's like, what if it's not worth it? What if she doesn't even like you? Well, it was 8 months worth it. So anyway, she's like, I guess. I mean, and me, I'm like, I'm in. I was like, I'll take the I guess. I was like, I guess. I was like, she could have just said no. That's weird.
It was the strangest request I've ever heard. You're like, can I take you out on a date?
8 months later.
In 8 months, like 7 months. I'm like, what do you mean? And then I'm shocked because I'm like, what do you mean you had a crush on me since elementary school? Where is this coming from? Why are you calling me on my birthday? What is this?
I never told her, never gave a hint, outside of that couch situation, but she didn't even remember that. So she was like, sure. I mean, and she had to make clear, if I don't, because she was like, I ain't trying to not have a man
Right.
in 8 months. So if I get a man before then, sorry. And she was like, are you cool with that? I said, yeah, that's fine. And she was like, okay. Yeah. And I was like, oh, and me, I'm like, I'm in 8 months from now. I got a scheduled date. I've never done that before. I was like, I already waited so many years, so I can wait 8 more months. And I didn't have to wait 8 months. I'll get there in a second. So then we hang up the phone, good night, because it was late. So I still felt weird. I was talking to someone that late at night. So then I'm all sweating at night. I took a shower, even though I took a shower already, but I was sweating hard because I was nervous as heck. And lo and behold, y'all, this is what I say. I didn't have to wait 8 months. The next day, or 2 days later,
The next
day, she calls me. And I never forget, shout out to Kyle, because he's the only one that saw my face. I'm at work. At that time, I worked at Target. And me and him worked in the back room. And my phone was vibrating. I looked, and I said in big bold letters, it says, Micayla. I looked at Kyle, and I did this 1-2 hop. He was looking at me like, he remembers that. He was like, what are you doing? I was like, guess who called me? He was like, no, because at this time I told him what happened. I was like, she loves me, man. I told you. Because he was starting down. Because he was like, you're going to wait 8 months for this date? That's what he said. And if you look at it, it does sound weird. Like 8 months
crazy.
For a date. Not for hand in marriage or nothing, which that would be weird too. But, for a date. A date that she could hate and be like, no second date for you. You waited 8 months for no second date. That's what Kyle said. I was like, and I was doing this 2 steps. I was like, see, So I was like, bring it in. And so as I'm all giddy and all that stuff, I was like, yes, she called. Hello. I changed my voice and they're acting all Kyle cool, collected. Kyle just looked at me. And he waved his hand like, oh, give me a break, and walked away. And you called. I was like, are you okay? He was like, yeah, I'm fine. So I'm going to be in North Carolina in like a few days. You are. And when I tell you, that's nothing but God. So the backstory to that is she told her mom what happened. Now, I thank God, because if she didn't tell her mom would have never known. And it probably would have went 8 months. Mm-hmm. So it took her having a good relationship with her mom, because she tells her mom basically everything. And she told her mom what happened. Mind you, like I said, if you remember the story, her mom knows us because we was friends back in the day.
Yeah,
so she's like,
over all the time.
Huh?
You guys used to come over all the time.
Yeah, so she's like,
from school together.
Wait, Duran? Like little Duran? She's like, yeah. He called you and asked for what? So she didn't know. She's like, huh? Even her sister's like, Duran? Mm-hmm. He asked you on the date. Josh, her brother's like, I haven't heard those names in a minute. So all of them are all in it. And so the mom was like, well, tell him that my wife is a fan of J. Cole. She was going to a J. Cole concert in North Carolina.
I had it planned.
What was it,
for
homecoming?
A year. It was North Carolina A&T's homecoming.
Yeah, it's homecoming.
And I literally had tickets a whole year. I was looking forward to that concert.
Yeah. So, anyway, so she's like, well, tell Duran you're going to be there. And I only live like an hour away from that concert. And the kid was like, no, I'm not going to call him. I want to go see J. Cole's concert. She liked J. Cole more than me at the time. So, that's fine. I understand. She don't know me. So, she was a fan of J. Cole before, Friday Night Lights. She was before he was famous. She went to one of her high schools he performed at, and she went there, or middle school, something like that.
Not high school, but he performed at like a local theater when he was like a nobody. And there was only like 20 of us in the audience.
20 people,
but I
yeah.
loved him then. So.
Yeah, so anyway, she was with a fan of his for a minute. So she calls me and she's like, yeah, and she just had to let me know this part too. She was like, so my mom told me, and I felt bad. It was like she wanted me to, I always felt like Micayla wanted me to say it's okay, you go ahead and enjoy your concert, because of how she said this. She was like, my mom told me to ask you to let you know that I'll be here. And I was like, in my mind, like, so your mom's like, you don't really want to tell me. And then he was like, yeah, I really wanted to go to this J. Cole concert, but my mom was going to call you if I didn't. Mm-hmm. She was like, you call him or I will, and I'll tell him that you're there. And if he really cares, he will take that 8 months and say, forget it, I'm going for an hour drive to go see you now. And so I was like, do you want me to go? I mean, you talk about your mom, that means you don't. Like, I put two and two together. And I was like, if you don't want to, that's fine. And you was like, no, that's okay. It's actually good. We can see where this goes. And I have one request, and I was like, sure, can the date be like in the morning? Because I still want to go to his concert. So his concert's not to the afternoon. Can we go to do something in the morning? Can we at least see where this is? And I was like, okay, I could do that. And I did. It was like 2-3 days later, and I drove. It was an hour. She gave me directions, and I didn't know she had family that lived over there, and her cousins. And so yeah, and we did something early in the morning.
Yep. And
I never forget, that was the longest hour drive I ever had, because I didn't know what this was going to be like. I was like, and then I'm having flashbacks of our childhood. I'm having flashbacks of when contacted each other on the Facebook thing. I'm like, is it really leading up to this? I got a date. Like, I still put Micayla at this pedestal.
I don't.
You got to be a certain type of man to date her. And it's not about money. It's not about that status. It's about who you are here. Because money, that comes and goes, whatever. But who you are is what Micayla looks at. And so I'm sitting there like, am I man enough? Like,
oh my gosh.
Goodness gracious. And I never forget, because she was at the hotel with her cousins and stuff. They all shared this hotel. And I'm waiting for her to come down the elevator. And it was only like 5-10 minutes for her to come down. That felt like 30 minutes to an hour. And I never forget, it was a guy sitting in the lobby. He was like, you waiting for somebody? I was like, yeah. He was like, you nervous? I was like, I really like this girl. I hope it works. And I said it just like this. I said, I really hope it works. He was like, oh, that young love. He was like, well, you know what? I hope it works out for you too. I was like, thank you. I don't know what to say in these moments. He was like, just go with it. I was like, all right. Lo and behold, she comes out the elevator, and it was like looking at an angel. Like, I haven't seen her physically since we were kids. Mm-mm. And I was like, and I never forget, and I apologize to this day, but I had a creepy moment where we hugged and we said, hi, how are you, and stuff like that. And like I said, I didn't know what I was doing. And I've had dates and other stuff before, but like I said, Micayla's different. She ain't like all these other women I dated or stuff like that. This is top echelon of the women out here.
Oh my God.
And so it's true. Just face facts.
Okay.
And so you got face facts.
Keep talking.
Anyway, so the creepy moment was, we get in my car. We was gonna go to Cracker Barrel, because I agree, it's 7 in the morning. I was so astounded by how she looked I kept staring at her.
It was so creepy.
And we got in the car, and I was just, and it was like not one of them horror movie kind of things, but just like I was staring, but I was also amazed. I was like what?
Yeah.
Like, you're this beautiful?
Oh gosh.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, you said yeah, so you already accepted that.
I said, oh gosh.
No,
That's
before that you
yeah.
said yeah. So before that you said yeah. You got caught on camera. Don't edit that out.
I'm not on camera.
No, it's your voice though, so don't cut it out.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she was like, "You okay?" Because she would. This dude is just
kept
looking
staring.
at, and I apologized.
Okay?
I said, "Look, I am so sorry, but you are so beautiful."
Thank you.
And she was thinking, and I was like, "I apologize." I told her I said I had an image of how I thought you was gonna look because I can only put what I see on Facebook. But I thought that was astonishing. She beat that. But I'm glad I got myself together because I didn't want to be a creeper. That was only for like a few seconds, but that was a long few seconds of me looking at her. So thank God I was like, all right, wake up. So, and we had breakfast. And one thing I did like about her was she was like me in this fact. When we date, and this is something I always tell people, if like I haven't been in a dating scene in so long, thank God, but for people who are in a dating scene, it was like, what's one of the best advices you can give? I said, be straightforward up front. I ain't talking about how much money you got. No, that don't matter. Trust me. I've seen people who focus on money, they divorce anyway. So I'm talking about like goals. Like we told each other like we was not having sex before marriage, family, work doesn't matter if it means we lose each other, like stuff like that. Faith, both she believed in Jesus, I believe in Jesus, all that stuff. We were straightforward with that in the beginning because we was like we both was like that. I was like that on dates with women, she was like that on dates with men. And if you didn't, there was only a few things. We're about the Lord, love, each other. If you can't do those few things, we don't even need to go further than this. Mm-hmm. And I love that even though in my nervousness, I was still the same with that. But then I was also nervous because I was like, what if she doesn't like? Because there were some girls that actually, it didn't work out. So, but it was good. But her response was someone that a woman never responded like that. She was like, oh, I was about to tell you the same thing. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, okay, this is working already. I always advise that. Go get straightforward to the morals. Like, get the heart of the matter first. It don't matter. Get there first, so that way you're not wasting time, because you're gonna be wasting each other's time. Anyway, so yeah, and when we was talking, it was very fruitful. And what I mean by that is our Cracker Barrel it wasn't wasted conversations. I always love that. Yeah, I think about it. We was talking. It was about, we talked about things that usually maybe people would do on the third or fourth date. Mm-hmm. We was like, look. She's about to go back to Michigan State. I'm going to be here. If we want this long distance relationship, we just got to just
jump in.
And the thing was, it wasn't even planned. We just both was like that. Mm-hmm. I jumped in, then she jumped in. I jumped in, and she just, and we was at Cracker Barrel talking for a minute, and it worked out so nicely. My focus on the Lord, her focus on the Lord, us growing together, all that other stuff. And then something else happened that I was like, God does not play around. So I'm not, because I wanted to say, God, are you playing with my feelings right now? Are you playing with my feelings? Because this was weird. So we went to the movies because we still had time. We realized that the concert and stuff, she told me later, because it was only supposed to be for breakfast and then she was on go. Then she found out later that the concert didn't start with him till later in the day. It was other people before that. She was like, I don't need to see those other people, I just want to see him. So we got more time. So we went to the movies. To be real, bad date idea, because you can't even talk. Yeah. So didn't think about that though. So anyway,
I saw a terrible movie.
Terrible movie. And it's funny, we still talk about that. It was like, that movie was garbage. We didn't know what this movie was, called The Counselor.
Terrible.
Terrible movie. Anyway, I never forget. Before we wait in line, and I'm sitting up here, 20 years old, something like that, nervous as hell. I'm like, "Can I hold your hand?" It felt so good how easily she would not just hold my hand, but she like grabbed my arm and rubbed my like bicep, and I was like, my eyes was open, like, "Is this real?" So then something else happened that I've never seen. So some men can relate to me on this. You know, when you take a woman out on a date, there's a lot of women who are about you pay for it, you pay, you pay, you pay, you pay, you pay, you pay. And I ain't against paying for the date and stuff like that. I'm not against that. I'm against the entitlement. I've always been against entitlement. When you say they should, it's like, come on, you both are there to see each other. Now, do I believe if the man asks you out, he should pay for it? Yes. Mm-hmm. But when I hear you should be doing it anyway, that's when it's the problem. You know, have some humbleness. Mm-hmm. You know, no. I always say if a woman's entitled, if a man's entitled, both either way, don't be around that person, because if they're entitled with this, you're going to imagine what they're going to be down the line.
It's a red flag.
What do you say?
Red flag.
Yeah, red flag. So this is what was weird. I was about to pay for the ticket. Like I said, I wasn't thinking about it. She stops my hand, and she was like, "I got the movie." I tell y'all, 20 years of my life, 21 years, whatever years, how many years it was, I have never heard a woman say I got it. Ever. I've never asked a woman to get it for me, but I never had a woman stop me and say, "No, let me." And it wasn't like, because then I started getting discouraged, because I was like, maybe she's not feeling this. And she's like, "I don't want them to think this is no more of a date," because that's what some people would do to avoid the date conversation. They were like, "Well, no, because that way, it's not a date. I paid for some stuff." But no, it's what she said after it. She said, "No, I believe that a man and a woman can pay for each other on a date." Mm-hmm. You know, if you care for each other, why can't both pay? Mm-hmm. I've never heard that in my life. And she said it was something her father, rest in peace to him, taught her. You know,
my father said that men work for money just like women work for it. So if you go on a date, first make sure you have enough for both of y'all, because you don't want to be in the back washing dishes. But also, if this is something that you don't know what it's going to look like, you know, it's okay to contribute. You don't have to have him do all the things all at once. And so the way I looked at it, you drove an hour or hours for this date. Mm-hmm. You paid for breakfast. The least I can do is pay for the movie. I might be a broke college student, but I got enough to pay for the movie.
And I kept stopping. I was like, "No, I got it." She said, "No, let me do it." I was like, and it's funny, even the guy at the ticket stand was looking at you like, "You're mm-hmm. paying for this ticket?"
Yeah.
And we both looked at each other too, like, because it was like, "No, I got it." Like, I wasn't looking at her to buy anything. But she wanted me to know that it's okay for a woman to pay for something too. And I'm not arguing. I wasn't going to argue about it. It's not a big deal. But I just backed off and I let her do it. And I was like, okay, I'm paying for popcorn and stuff. But then I don't even think we got anything, because we ate breakfast. So he was like, "We don't even want anything." Mm-hmm. But I was like, that's enough. We don't need to pay for, you don't need to pay for nothing else. Like, I was uncomfortable with that. But I never forget that whole thing, as dumb as that movie was. I was sitting there thinking about that moment. And she knows this. I told her for years I was thinking about that moment. Mm-hmm. Because she taught me something. That's another sign you know when someone's meant for you. If they can help you be better unintentionally, you know, I don't think a man should be raising a woman or a woman should raise a man. If you got to do that, y'all ain't supposed to be together yet. Get yourselves together. You know, but I still believe each other can help each other grow. You know, naturally. Mm-hmm. You know, that was a natural moment. That was an organic moment. It wasn't like, "Oh, this man's a child, and I got to sit here and raise a man." Mm-hmm. You know, it's not like that, or vice versa. No, if it's like just genuine, where you teach someone new without, that's how it was for me. I've never heard that before. I was around ladies that was about, you got to. Mm-hmm. That was. And then I fed myself by having myself be around those kind of people for so long that I thought it was, you know. So, But then I grew some confidence in myself at that time where I was like, okay, I do believe I asked you out, I'm going to pay for it. But you're not going to sit up here and tell me what I should or should not do either. Yeah. You know, that's why I say, ladies, calm down on that. You know, calm down. They should. You know, if you don't care about the date, then just don't go. You know, but anyway. So, yeah, and that opened my eyes. I was like, this woman, and it's funny, she used to laugh at this for the longest time, but I was like, this woman has to be the one. Over a movie ticket. I was like, because I said it's not the movie ticket, it was what's behind it. He was like, you really believe in the husband and wife help each other? And he was like, yeah, that's how it stays together. You know, both give 100%. That's why we never lived a 50-50 life to this day. 11 years in, we never lived a 50-50 life. Everything she has is mine. Everything I have is hers. Mm-hmm. Anything I will get in the future will be hers, vice versa. It ain't like, and then when she does stuff, you're like, you did that. No, we do it together, you know. We agree together. We talk about it with each other. So we don't just go behind each other's back. We talk about everything. But, yeah. And, man, that whole theater, again, that movie was trash.
The movie was
And
trash.
after the movie, there was a Target right across the street. So we went to Target laughing about how bad the movie was. Mm-hmm. And we were just laughing. That's why I always say it was a terrible movie, but it was a great moment because it was something for us to laugh at. And I remember it was this hallway, and not hallway, like this aisle in Target. And I said, I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to take a risk. If she stops me, I'll just take the embarrassment and move on. But this woman paid for my time. I'm still thinking about that. So I grabbed her hand and pulled this aisle. It was a candle aisle. And the best part was when I did that, she already put her arms around my neck, so it was like she was waiting for me to kiss her. And then we kissed for a minute in the aisle. And I was like, so you was waiting? You was like, I was waiting for. I was like, we're just walking down aisles. I was like, you gonna kiss me? You know, we already saw this terrible movie. You can at least kiss me for it, you know. And then you made a joke. You was like, I paid for this ticket. And I was like, and I was laughing. I was like, so then we kissed each other again. And then this is where I knew I was in really good territory. It was not even that. It was the fact that she introduced me to her family right after that. So she took me to the hotel with all the family was at, the room. And I met everybody, even the people I knew back then when I was a kid. That was a good moment. Her sister, brother, etc. Yeah. And then I took the car, drove back home. She went to her concert. And
had a great time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. She had a great time. And that was the story that started everything to now.
Yep.
And there's a lot of stuff that I can share, and I will. I'm gonna share moments of, you know, from time to time. I'll share great moments of us, and because there's another moment I want to share where she came for my birthday. That I want to share that whole trip because this was before we was married, and what she had to do to go see me for my birthday and what happened in those moments was a good story in itself. Mm-hmm. One day, I'm gonna share that because that's a podcast episode in itself. But yeah, from then on, 12 years later, here we still are. We dated for a year after that and been married for 11.
Actually, we dated for 6 months. And then we were engaged for 6 months.
Yeah, as I said, we got married a year after that.
Oh, yeah. Because it's crazy because when you think about it, had you not called me on my birthday and had you missed that weekend, because like I said, I was already going to be in North Carolina that weekend, then you would have had to wait 7-8 months. But we were engaged before May of next year. We were engaged in March, and then we ended up getting married in June. So we were married within that 7-8 months, which is crazy to think about. But now,
and it was all because the Lord led your mom to be like, you want to call him or I will.
Yep.
And if you didn't tell your mom that's what I thought about. I was like,
but if you didn't call
God would have made another way, I believe.
Yeah.
You know, but just the fact that, and the thing was, y'all, she was the only person on that book. So when I had that book written down, the other stuff was just different things, situations and stuff like that. But person, she was the only one. So it wasn't like I had women on the book. It was like, no, it was one person. All it said was, call Micayla. And the reason I wrote like that, because if anybody else see it, I want them to be confused. I knew what it meant, you know, and that's all that mattered. So
let me ask you this. A lot of people talk about, how do you know that's the one? You mentioned a few different instances where you thought this has to be the one. But honestly, how did you know that I was the one for you?
Because God showed me things that you did that was the complete opposite of the heartbreak ladies I was with did. Life is simple. God is really simple. I always say, sometimes if you need help to know which direction you need to go to, I was like, remember that direction that you took that led you wrong? Yep, go the opposite. You know, it's like sometimes God doesn't need to say it out loud. You just need to look at your situation. Man, this was terrible. Let me go this way. And that's how it was for me. It was like I had some really bad, terrible dating situations, relationship situations. That's another conversation. That really opened my eyes to what I wanted. I knew, as much nervous as I was very confident in knowing what I wanted. At that time, I should say. Because I went through enough heartbreaks and learning situations. So I knew for a fact, I was like, okay, the stuff I'm looking for is not for normal, it's not going to happen by normal women. Normal women are about money and what's your status out here and, you know, all this other nonsense. I'm looking for this, and that. And once you did that, like I said, that situation you came for my birthday, which I do want to talk about one day, that's when I knew it was the complete opposite of what hurt me. Now, again, it's still good to still pay attention, but when that becomes a habit, it started not just one time, but a second time, and a third time, and over again of the things that hurt you are the opposite coming from this other person. I'm like, okay. Especially when she's the only one doing that. The Lord really pointed you out where it was no confusion. I would say ain't no confusion that Micayla's the one. Ain't none. I can't compare what she do to anybody else. You know. Well, did such and such? Nope. I was like, you know. Well, did this? No, they did not. They did the opposite. That's how I knew it was another. She was the one. And nobody else did what she... No, they did not. And I've had my share of ladies I've dated. And not one. And it's funny. All the women I dated all did the same thing. No matter what area I was in. Like they say, change your area. I changed the area. All that stuff. They all did this outside of one. Because we just didn't work out. So I ain't going to say everybody. You know. Because I like to respect. I ain't saying... Because I don't believe in that. It's everybody else's fault. No. There were some moments I'm like, okay. We just didn't work out, you know. But the other ones that taught me that you was the one, they all did the same thing. So I was like, okay, if that ain't the one, then I don't know who is. It was kind of like that. I was so confident to where if it didn't work out, I'd really be asking God like, what is going on? Because it can't be more clear than that. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, Lord, because you can't. If it's clear, then it must be because this didn't work out. But I was very confident because of that. I always tell people that. I'm like, and not just in relationships. I looked at it in life. If that led you wrong, just go the opposite route. Easy. You know, you see that? You see how that person got hurt with that? Don't go there. Just do the opposite.
How did you know that you were ready for marriage when you were 23? Most people, especially back then, and even now, are like, you know, marriage is something that I look at when I'm like 30.
Yeah, they say that, but still live with their people and stuff like that.
Yeah, they live the lifestyle.
They live in the married life.
But how did you know? How did you know that you wanted to be married? And then also, how did you know you were ready for marriage at 23?
Well, because I was ready to grow with you. You know, people always ready. They say they want to grow with each other. They do all the boyfriend, girlfriend stuff, shacking up. But they say they're not ready for marriage. That's contradiction. You're doing the same thing. You're just locking it down with each other. You know, you're locking it down. You're I'm letting the woman know it's nobody else but you. You know, words is cheap. Show them. You know, show them that you're about it. And I knew. I was ready to start a life with you, not borrow it. I always look at it as borrowing. You borrowing some time. You're not ready to lock it down for all whatever excuse. Because people always have tons of excuses. Well, my parents, well, my this, and my that, and this happened. And if you look on the internet, stop looking at what other people are doing. I stopped doing that. They don't speak for me. You know, my parents don't speak for me. My whatever don't speak for me. You know, it's what the Lord showed. It's what we want. You know. And like I said, but we're different. We came in the first date laying up. So if that was our first date, y'all can only imagine what our other dates were.
Yeah.
So we already was ahead of schedule. That's all I always say. It helps you. That's why it's my advice to start from the beginning, because then when it's like this, and that's the first date, the other ones y'all definitely are building layers of trust with each other, to where it's like, why are we not starting our lives together? That's how it was for me. It was like, why are we not doing this? You know, it literally, one other reason why is because there was literally no other explanation, zero, of why we shouldn't. Well, we got to get to know each other more. We can do that together. That's why I hate when they be like, I grew and it made me lose out of my marriage. What? Y'all grow together. If you feel you're ahead, then help your husband or your wife, whoever it is, to get there with you. That's true love. That's what we did. There was moments that she grew, she took me with her. There's moments that I grew, I took her. There's moments we did it together. You know, that's what makes the story even better. That's what makes us have 11 years and people are like, huh? And then it's working.
Yeah.
I ain't sick of her. She ain't sick of me. We never was disloyal to each other. Nothing. So we know each other front to back. Still attracted to each other. You know, I'd rather not do that on borrowed time. That's how I look at dating. It's like when you already know, when you already want to live like, that's why people are living like it as it is. I always say you playing house. You're living on borrowed time. Well, just in case it don't work. We never did that. Just in case it don't work, you already signed up for failure.
Yeah.
You know, but a lot of people live like that because they live on money and they live on status. I don't want her to take my money. I don't want him to do this, or he should make $100,000, or she gonna take my spot. We never came in with money.
Yeah.
So that's never been our life. We grow it together.
Yep.
The situation, the city you see behind me, the lifestyle we have, all this stuff, the drink I have, we did this together.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Even this podcast.
Do we like money? Yes. We like it together. So, and that's why I believe a lot of couples mess up, because they look at that. They look at the finances. They look at as long as you're responsible, everything else will work out. And responsible is not ladies not getting, your man getting you a Birkin bag, and men, it's not about what kind of car you drive or nothing like that. You know, because both sides have their side. I ain't here to do no man versus woman thing. You know, it's, yeah. If you go in there, money is on any of the subjects outside of you're responsible.
I don't think I ever asked you how much you made.
Nah, and I never asked you. It's like we never did that. The only thing we both asked each other is, are we responsible?
Yep.
That's it. And then we describe what responsible is, because it's good to ask. I always say it's good to ask, what do you mean responsible? Because I remember one dude, he got so mad because he's like, I found out, because he thought it was the same when he said responsible. She's like, yeah, I'm responsible. Then she finds out later, she talk about responsible to her is her man should take her on 5 vacations a year.
Good Lord.
That's and if you're not doing that, you're not responsible. So her version of responsibility is to let her be selfish. Let her live this lab of luxury, which ain't nothing wrong with living lab of luxury.
Say it's
so you do it together.
If she was raised on that, then
it's still wrong.
No, I understand. But if she was raised on that, then that's just her lifestyle.
And it's still wrong.
But she can't be.
And that's why the relationship doesn't work. And that's why she's still single.
Yeah.
Because it's not you looking at material stuff to describe your marriage. We never did.
Yeah. No.
Are you lazy? No. Good. You know. And then our lifestyle, because we showed that year we was dating that we wasn't lazy.
Yeah.
When you needed something, I stepped up and I was there. Yeah. When I needed something, you still was there. And it wasn't like we was testing each other. We just naturally did it. And that's the thing. It was natural. That's my life partner forever. That's my best friend forever. That's the one when we get old, we're going to sit on rocking chairs and just smile. That's the one we're going to grow and have kids and grandkids, great-grandkids. That, you know, she has a great position in her job. That's not what I'm talking about with people. Because that's a blessing for us. Praise the Lord. But that doesn't describe us. What I do. She don't go around just, hey, my husband's this and that. No, she talks about who I am, not what I do. Because that doesn't describe us. When that becomes your focal point, no wonder your relationships are not working. And I tell people that I'm honest with people now. I'm like, you went in talking about money and status. No wonder.
Yeah.
So you can't be mad when your lady is all about it because that's how you are. Or you can't be mad when your man's like it because you're like it. So, yeah. Anyway, 11 years strong, and I got more stories to tell, but I think it'd be nice to end the night with that. Finish my cup. Cheers to y'all. Happy Friday. Or whatever day you're on watching this right now. And yeah, I'm going to go and enjoy this city. I'll see y'all later.